Hello everyone. So this is the second lecture in Unit 4. In lecture 1, I have given some PDF file about the operation of induction motors that you already learned in the machine classes. So induction machines are most widely used in industry because of its ruggedness and low maintenance. Okay. The induction motor is also cheaper than most other electric motors. So it covers applications from a few watts to megawatts. So in the past, the fixed speed or constant speed drives were dominated by induction motor drives. Also, variable speed V by F control of induction motor drives, but the response was very slow. So slow dynamics was there. So variable speed drives mostly dominated by DC motors based drive system. But the problem with DC motors are they require frequent maintenance because we are using carbon brushes and commutators. So there will be wear and tear on that, and it requires frequent maintenance. Also in explosive environments, in underwater installments, underground installments, they cannot be used. Okay, so the focus was to develop fast control techniques for induction motor drives. Now, recent developments in control techniques and power electronics has made it possible for induction motor to be used in applications requiring fast dynamic response and decoupled control of torque and flux, like the brushed DC motors. Okay, so they can be now induction motor. They can be controlled similar to that of DC motors. Okay. The important techniques that nowadays used in a variable speed induction motor based drive systems are vector control and direct torque control methods. So nowadays most of the drive applications in industries, they are dominated by induction motor based drive system. So this is the commercial induction motor. So it is having one stator and one rotor, and in between there is air gap. So stator is connected to the supply here. Okay, rotor, it is having conductors, and there is shaft, so mechanical load is coupled with this shaft. Again stator, you can see here that stator is having conductors. So stator winding, actually they are distributed in space and they are balanced so that it will produce a synchronously rotated magnetic field in the air gap. Now there are two types of rotor. One is squirrel cage rotor, another is wound rotor. In a squirrel cage, actually we are having copper bars which are shorted by with the help of end rings. Okay, similarly in wound rotor we are having winding similar to that of stator winding. So again these windings are uh, balanced winding and distributed in the space. Okay, they now stator and rotor windings, they can be star connected in three phase system, or they can be delta connected. And this rotor windings, they are actually connected with the help of some external resistance, so that whenever there is induced EMF in the winding, there will be currents in the winding. Okay, so basic part we can represent like this. So there is stator which is having three phase windings which is supplied with three phase supply with frequency omega. Okay, so sinusoidal supply we are giving to three phase balanced winding distributed in the space. Okay, now this will produce a magnetic field which is rotating at synchronous speed, that is decided by the number of poles and supply frequency. So this speed actually dependent upon the supply frequency as well as the number of poles in the stator winding. Okay, now this synchronous speed, this magnetic field which is rotating at synchronous speed will cross the air gap and it will cut the conductors in the rotor winding. Now you can see here that rotor conductors, they are connected. Okay, so whenever there is relative motion between magnetic field and conductor, there will be induced voltage. Okay, so these rotors are at standstill initially. This synchronously rotated magnetic field will cut this conductor, and there will be induced voltage in these conductors. So this path is complete, so there will be current in the rotor winding. Okay, now this current and the external magnetic field, their interaction will produce torque in the rotor winding. Okay, so if rotor is free to rotate, it will start rotating in the same direction as that of a magnetic field. So actually this tries to catch the uh, this magnetic field which is rotating at synchronous speed. Whenever, but this speed can never be at synchronous speed. Why? Because whenever both speeds are same, so there will be no relative motion between conductor and synchronous this magnetic field, so there will be no induced voltage and there will be no current. Okay, so this speed normally is less than the synchronous speed for motoring operation. Okay, so this rotor is rotating at omega m, and it is having a torque T. Okay, so the basic principle is written here. The stator winding is supplied with balanced three-phase AC voltage, which produce induced voltage in the rotor winding. It is possible to arrange the distribution of stator winding so that there is an effect of multiple poles, producing several cycles of MMF or field around the air gap. The speed of rotation of field is called synchronous speed. Okay, so synchronous speed is defined by 2 omega upon p. Omega is the supply frequency in radian per second. P is the number of pole. Okay, or in revolution per minute, we can write 120 f upon p, where f is the supply frequency in hertz, p is the number of poles. So for example, we are having two pole machine. F normally in India, f is 50 hertz. So if we substitute 2 here, so that will be 3000 rpm. Similarly, if we are having 4 pole machine, so this synchronous speed will be 1500 rpm. Now the rotor speed or the motor speed is defined as omega m is equal to omega s time 1 minus s. Okay, where s is the slip. Okay, so slip is defined as difference between synchronous speed and actual motor speed divided by synchronous speed. Okay, or in revolution per minute, again this will be ns minus nm upon ns. Okay, so here you can see if slip is 1, for example omega m is equal to 0. So if slip is 1, so omega m will be 0, so that omega s upon omega s will become 1. So speed will be 0. As slip is increasing, the speed will become low. Okay, now we can draw from this circuit, we can draw equivalent model of induction motor similar to that of transformer. So here you can see that the three-phase circuit is drawn on the per phase basis. So equivalent circuit normally we draw on per phase basis. So supply voltage or stator voltage is Vs and stator current is Is. Stator leakage reactance is Xs, because some whatever magnetic field produced will not uh, link with the rotor conductors. Okay, so some flux will lose, so that we take into account in leakage reactance. This is resistance of the stator winding conductor. Now this is the magnetizing branch, so air gap is there, so we xm is the magnetizing reactance. Rm will be the core loss. Okay, Rm, it is like core loss. Then xr prime, actually rotor side circuit we had referred to the stator side. Okay, so we are taking xr prime, that is leakage reactance of rotor circuit referred to the stator side. Similarly, we are having rr prime upon s, that is, so rr prime here it is a rotor resistance, refer to the stator side, and the rotor current is IR prime. Again, this is the rotor current, refer to the stator side. So this is, we are having stator, and this is air gap, this is rotor side. Okay, so this make rotor. Now stator copper loss. So stator current is Is, resistance is Rs. So power loss in the stator winding will be Is square times Rs. Now this is per phase power loss. If you want to find for 3-phase system, so you have to multiply by 3. So 3-phase stator copper loss will be 3 times Is square times Rs. Similarly, rotor copper loss, rotor resistance is Rr prime. So rotor copper loss will be 3 IR prime square times Rr prime. Okay. Similarly, core losses. So here you can see that voltage across this terminal, say it is Vm. Okay. So Vm upon Vm square upon Rm. So voltage across this divided by this resistance. Now you multiply by 3, you will get 3-phase power loss in the core. Okay. Again, the drop in these two components in comparison to stator voltage is very small. So whatever voltage here, the same voltage we can assume here. Say for example, this is 300 volt and say this is only 3 volt. So we can neglect this value. Okay. So whatever supply voltage in the stator, same we can assume across this parallel branch. Okay. So that's why 3 times Vs square upon Rm. If you want to find what is core losses, you can calculate directly, because supply voltage most of the time it is given. Now power developed on air gap, that is power from stator to rotor through air gap. So 3 times IR squared times RR upon RR prime upon S. So this is the air gap power. Okay. Now power developed by motor. So air gap power minus rotor copper loss. Okay. So you can see here. So gap power is 3 IR prime square RR prime upon S. Rotor copper loss was 3 IR prime square times RR prime. Now subtract that, you will get this value. Okay. So developed power, you will find that gap power into 1 minus S. So this part actually you can see, this part you can see. So this part actually you can see from here, 3 IR prime square RR prime upon S. So this part I taken as gap power times 1 minus S. Okay. So developed power will be gap power times 1 minus S. So we can find what will be the torque from the motor. So torque developed from motor will be power developed by motor divided by motor speed. Okay. So torque developed, again we can substitute, this is in radian per second. If you want to compute in terms of RPM, so we have to substitute 2 pi n upon 60. Okay. So 2 pi n upon 60, you will get torque developed by motor in RPM. Okay. So again, developed power we can substitute from here, that is Pg into 1 minus S. Substitute here, Pg into 1 minus S. Now motor speed is omega m. We can substitute in terms of synchronous speed, that is omega s into 1 minus S. So these two will be cancelled. So we are getting developed torque to be gap power upon synchronous speed. So developed torque, you can find either developed power upon mechanical speed or speed of the rotor, or gap power upon synchronous speed. Okay. You will get the same result. Now input power to the motor will be 3 Vs Is cos phi e. Okay. So phi is actually the phase between voltage and current. So that will be gap power, core loss and stator copper loss. So there was core loss, stator copper loss on the stator side, then there is gap power. Okay. So input power will be summation of these 3 components. Similarly, output power, that is developed power minus no load power. No load power actually friction and windage losses in the motor. So if you subtract that, you will get the useful output power. Okay, so efficiency you can find output power upon input power. Output power you can substitute from here, that is PD minus P no load divided by input power is PC plus PS copper plus gap power. Normally you see that this power is very small in comparison to PD. Also copper loss, stator copper loss and core losses, they are small in comparison to air gap power. So we can neglect these parts. Okay, so efficiency in rough estimate you can find from PD upon PG. Okay, so PD upon PG, that is 1 minus S. So from here you can see if slip is very small, efficiency will be very good. If slip is high, then efficiency will become less. Okay, so in competitive exams, if the efficiency of the induction motor is asked to be computed, you can use this formula to approximately find what will be the efficiency. Now as I told that the drop in these two are very small, so we can shift this branch to this side. Okay, because whatever voltage here, the same voltage we assume is appearing across this parallel branch. So this parallel branch we can shift, that will actually ease our computation. So you can see here that supply stator voltage is Vs. Now input current I am taking II. So again Rm is very small in terms of Xm. Okay, so here you can see that generally the value of reactance magnetization, that is Xm, is very large than Rm, that is core losses, and also Xm square is very high than this component. Okay, so this we can shift to this side. So here we are having stator, you can see here we are having stator leakage reactance, stator resistance, rotor leakage reactance refer to the stator side. Then we are having rotor resistance refer to the stator side. Okay, now these things are in series, so we can find what will be the rotor current. As in the previous expressions, you can see that in all these expressions there is rotor current in everywhere. Okay, other parameters like reactances and resistances we can find with the help of certain tests like block rotor test, open circuit test, short circuit test that you perform in the labs. Okay, so from this figure we can find what will be the rotor current. So rotor current will be Vs, okay, in vector form. Then resistance are Rs plus Rr prime upon S. So these resistances are in series, so we added, plus J times these reactances again are in series, so we added, so J times Xs plus Xr prime. So this is IR prime. So this is in vector form, okay, which is having magnitude and some angle. So if you want to find what will be the magnitude of IR prime, so that will be simply Vs, okay, divided by Rs plus Rr prime upon S plus Xs x plus Xr prime square and square root. Okay, now developed torque we can compute in the previous expression that you are having, that is Pg 1 minus S, or you can compute what is Pg. Pg is 3 IR square prime Rr prime upon S. Okay, so substitute this value here, divided by omega S. So we are having 3 Rr prime S time omega S times IR prime square. IR prime square value we will substitute from the from this value. Okay, so developed torque we are getting 3 Rr prime upon S omega S. Now this is IR prime, so square of that will be Vs square upon Rs plus Rr prime upon S square plus Xs plus Xr prime square. Square root will not be here because we are squaring. Okay, So now we can plot speed torque characteristic, speed torque or slip torque characteristic, something like that. So from this expression you can see here that the at s is equal to 1, or when the speed is 0, so that will call the starting torque of the motor. So it will increase, then will go to the maximum value of the torque, then it is decreasing, and when the slip becomes 0, okay, that is motor speed is equal to synchronous speed, then at that time torque will become 0. Okay, so here you can see that this is the maximum torque value at some slip value. So position of this S max is dependent upon the rotor resistance, but the maximum torque value is not dependent upon the rotor resistance. That already you know from the machine courses. Okay, now for example we are having some kind of load which is having characteristics like this. Okay, so intersection point of load characteristic, load torque characteristics and motor torque characteristics will give the running speed. So at S is equal to Sm, the motor speed will be omega m or Nm. So motor is running at this point. So here you can see that slip is very small, so efficiency will be very high. Okay, so motor normally they are operated in this region in motoring mode, so that slip should be high and efficiency should be slip should be low and efficiency should be high. Okay, so here you can see that if slip is 0, as we go this side the slip will increase and it will become, slip will become 1. Once slip will become 1, speed will become 0. Okay, so here you can see that this maximum torque value we call as pull out torque, that gives the short time overloading capability of the motor. So at this value, say the torque produced is T rated and it is running at rated value. Okay, so load torque is intersection of load torque and motor torque is at this point. Okay, so this will determine the steady state speed. So if we want to load must be operated here, if we want this much speed, okay, so we have to shift this motor torque characteristics. Okay, because the requirement is from the load side. If it is to be rotated at some other speed, so you have to shift this characteristic so that the intersection point should be at this point. So there are several methods that you can achieve, that is called speed control of induction motors. Okay, so we can achieve by three methods. So torque equation is this one. Okay, so here you can see that we are having Vs, we are having omega s, and we are having rotor resistance. Okay, so based on these parameters we can control the speed of induction motors. Okay, so first is we can change the applied voltage in the stator winding. Okay, so if we change this value, the torque characteristic will shift and we can intersect the with the load characteristics at desired speed. Okay, so we can use AC to AC converters that you learn in the power electronics course. Okay, to control the output voltage, so that whatever stator voltage is applied, that must be controlled. Okay, again we can have DC to AC inverters to operate at desired voltage. Okay, so first method is to control terminal voltage. So amplitude voltage, that is amplitude of the voltage that is applied to the stator winding, we can control it. So another method by controlling these parameters. Okay, so again synchronous speed is dependent upon the supply frequency and the number of poles. So in supply frequency we can change the frequency here, and that is in hertz, or we can change the number of poles. Okay, so we are having pole changing method, we are having We can change the torque characteristic by varying voltage amplitude. We can change the torque characteristics by changing the frequency. Also, we can change, for example, if we are having wound rotor motors, so we can connect external resistance in the rotor circuit so that we can control rotor resistance. But in a squirrel cage, this is not possible. Okay. So based on these methods, in next class I will discuss about the torque omega characteristics of induction motor by varying these parameters. Okay, thank you.